Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Taurus for May 2018. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out my very extensive blog intended to help to give you resources and information and inspiration to best use the astrological transits now and that are coming up. If you'd love to be an astrologer or a coach by profession or bring your business online to have geographic freedom with your work, then check out my Shine Your Brilliance University on my website, anniehelpsyou.com. So what's going on in the month of May? We've got this sweet spot sandwiched between the madness of the previous eclipses before the intensity of the upcoming eclipses. We've got 2 eclipses in July, 1 in August. You'll definitely be feeling those in June. Many people will even feel some of that at the end of May. So we're sandwiched here in between this kind of calm before the storm, and it's after Mercury has been retrograde, but it's before Mars goes retrograde. Although we do have the shadow period starting May 11th and getting deeper as we get to June 26th, which is when it goes retrograde. But ambitions will tend to wane with Mars retrograde. So if you've got things you want to do or have to do, or you're feeling it, you're feeling motivated, definitely try to get as much done as you can now. There's a strong focus for Taurus for career and work at this time. I'm calling the theme of this month for Taurus, examining loyalty. One of the traits that we see in every textbook for astrology that's listed under Taurus is loyalty. Okay, so while any sign can be loyal or loyal to different things in life, there's a notable steadfastness that is associated with Taurus energy that can carry long endeavors through to their end, that can stay consistent and committed to important things, relationships, etc., etc. And there is also a tendency that can be non-serving that Taurus energy has to being loyal to a principle that is outdated, needs to be modified, or just totally not relevant anymore. So I see this month as a time of examining these loyalties. Okay, you've got this strong focus in career. Some of you might be loyal to a job or an employer or a boss or your clients if you have your own business. But maybe you're thinking about making changes. But this loyalty is keeping you in, and I'm not saying what the right answer is going to be. It's going to be different for each situation. However, this is a time when really asking the question, what are you ultimately loyal to? And do those loyalties conflict? And what is your superseding belief? And how you can manage all of this and possibly make some changes. This is a month where you can make some important changes. They will be tested by the transits that are coming, but it still is a pretty good open window for things. The best that we'll have between now and in the middle of December for many things. It's also birthday time. So for those of you, most of you will have your birthday this month. And the rest of you, if you're watching for your rising sign, well, you've either had your birthday already, or if you're watching for your rising sign and it's a later, not in the early degrees, then you'll be having the sun cross over your rising sign this month. Both of those points, whether it's your rising sign or your sun, are points of new beginnings. And so there's a lot of energy around new beginnings. The predominance of energy in your chart at this time is out in the world. It's above the horizon. So you are noticing, I'm sure you've got things going on with relationships. You've got things going on where you're evaluating your belief systems. You've got things going on with work. There's psychological factors that are coming into play. And now with this rebirth time, there's this movement back internal, back into some of the basics. Okay? Who are you? What do you want to do? What are you trying to do? How do you make money? How can you do that in a better way? Do you have to diversify your financial interests? That's another theme for this time that could be helpful for Tauruses, and now in the upcoming time, is diversifying your interests, not putting your eggs all in one basket. There's an investment principle that I learned back in the day when I was in the stock world. Probably hard to believe, but and I was studying Warren Buffett at that time, and I learned the principle about not putting all of your investment eggs in one basket. And this is something that's coming up for you now. Do you have, very often many Tauruses do have, so much focus on one thing that they might need to diversify or it might be enriching or prosperous for them to diversify. So think about, as you're examining your loyalty to certain ways of doing things, where you can diversify for your own enrichment and for your financial progress, and also for your just to match your ongoing evolution of yourself, you know. So Uranus is going to be moving into your sign, and this is one of the most notable things for Tauruses. Uranus moves into a new sign around every 7 years. So when it happens, it's a really big event. The last time Uranus was in Taurus was between 1935-ish and 1942. It's a really long time ago. And if you remember back in the world, I don't want to talk about some of the things that happened then, but it was a pretty powerful time to be alive, for better and worse. There was a lot of political world events going on at that time, and there was also a massive amount of technological, medical, mathematical, scientific advancement on every level. So this general theme for everybody that is going to be occurring is also more pronounced for Taurus. When you have Uranus move over your sun sign or your rising sign or whatever placements you have in Taurus, you have ingenuity, surprises, changes, volatility, all of that energy that Uranus represents coming right to that placement of yours. So for those of you who are cuspy, if your birthday is right at the beginning of the sign, if you're, you know, in those early days of the sign, if your rising sign is in the early degrees of the sign, then you may be in for some major changes and insights and breakthroughs and surprises and ingenious discoveries. So definitely listen, because sometimes these, and maybe keep a journal too, because Uranus's energy is brilliant, but it's also fleeting. So you might have a great idea about something and you think there's no way I would forget that. But then Uranus brings something else in and it totally brings the other thing out of your mind. So this is an amazing time to keep a journal of ideas, of things that you want to do to improve your own business, to do to improve your life, new ideas that you have for businesses or evolution, inventions. This is going to be a major time in the world of very powerful, life-changing inventions, and you could be one of the ones bringing this out into the world. So don't ignore those messages. So those are the things that are most on my mind for Taurus this month. Now I want to talk about the full moon, the new moon, the other things that are notable and the days they occur and things you can expect with them. So we'll go into all of that now. So the theme of the month for May 2018 for all signs is coming up for air. We have positioned nicely in the midst of this trend of personal planets being retrograde that started March 8th and runs through the middle of December. We've got this little period where we come up for air from the retrograde process. Also, we're coming up for air in this brief window between the eclipse cycles. So we have 3 eclipses in July and August, 2 in July, 1 in August. Starting in June, even towards the end of May, you might feel some of this. The eclipse changes, radical information coming in, news, trajectory shifts that could be unexpected or worked towards, but all of a sudden they come. So in this little pocket here in May, we're clear of the Mercury retrograde that preceded it. We're clear for a little while of the Mars retrograde that begins June 26th and runs through August 26th. The shadow period for Mars retrograde starts on May 11th. So May 4th through May 11th, we're completely clear of any personal planets retrograde. However, with every day that passes after May 11th, we're going to go deeper into that shadow period, and ambitions may tend to wane. That's one of the big factors of Mars retrograde, is that drive goes backwards. Okay, so people get more lazy, and you can sync your life with this transit. I do. I have Aries rising, so I'm very much connected to this Mars transit because Mars is an Aries ruler, but this will affect everybody. I plan for this period of time now as a relaxing, taking a break. So I go gung-ho all in the time before it, and I plan things for the time after it. But this sweet little spot is amazing for vacations. It's amazing for rest. It's amazing for staycations. So you can use this wisely, you just have to plan for it accordingly, okay? So if the lesson is, if you've got things you've got to push through anytime this year and you don't want to wait until December, try to do it in May, okay? If you are a person with Mars retrograde in your chart, you might start to get zippy as everyone else starts to tone down. And if that's the case, good for you, but you will be in the minority. Something else going on in May that's ongoing from March into July is that Jupiter is in retrograde. So when Jupiter's in retrograde, this is a time to scale back efforts. And this is a beautiful combination of a lesson that Mars is also giving us. Because Mars, when it's in retrograde, one of the best ways to use it is to seek to do things in more efficient ways so that you do less work with greater outcomes. Jupiter retrograde tells us the same thing. So Jupiter, in its expanded forward motion, wants to make everything bigger and wider and more breadth, right? So when it's in retrograde, it looks for the places where you're spread too thin and it pulls them in, okay? So you have incentive to cut back, trim the fat, evaluate everything in your life to see where you're putting energy, where it's no longer useful and where it's no longer bringing energy back to you. Okay, so I'm going to go through my favorite aspects to watch for this month. You can get a written version of what I'm about to describe, as well as many more transits and details about them in my newsletter, my free newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. If you've already signed up for my newsletter and you're not getting newsletters, I send them regularly. So check in your spam, promotions, events, folder, social events folders, because sometimes mass emails go into those folders and you can transfer them from those folders into your inbox to give your email service the message that you want those emails. Okay, also something to know about what I'm about to describe is that I'm going to give you dates, but sometimes you feel these energies on days before or days after. So don't stick too heavily to the dates. Just use your intuition to tune into the flow to see when you're feeling something, because it could be before or after. Okay. On May 8th and then on May 23rd, the Sun in Taurus and then Mercury in Taurus is going to make an opposition to Jupiter in Scorpio. This can give a tendency to overdo. In some ways, you have permission to overdo this month because you really need to get as much done as you can while the energy is good for it. But do couple that with taking your vitamins, getting your rest, trying to balance that energy so you don't do too much. Also, with the things you're creating, make sure you're not spreading yourself too thin, because as the tides come in for the rest of the year, you don't want to overcommit. So just be very wary of overcommitting, overdoing, oversaying, and even overthinking. Okay, on May 11th, one of my favorite aspects of the month is the Sun in Taurus trine Pluto in Capricorn. This is an amazing aspect for getting things done. If you have to plan launch dates, anything like that, important things around this day are very powerfully supported. In the middle of the month, we have a series of aspects that are all piled on top of one another and are each intense in their own right. Okay, so look out for a lot of energy and events in the middle of the month. We've got the new moon in Taurus at 24 degrees of Taurus. That's time for your new moon wishes. You can check out my website. If you go to anniehelpsyou.com, click on blog, click on astrology. The maximizing new moon in Taurus power period is on there. Okay, so you want to maximize those wishes. You can see more about that on that blog. A very big event that's happening at this time is Uranus is moving into the sign of Taurus. This has been in the making for 7 years or so. It takes about 7 years for Uranus to move through a sign. The last time Uranus was in Taurus was between 1935 and 1942. I won't list some of the pretty crazy and intense world events that happened at that time, but most of you know what happened at that time. It was very transformative and eventful series of time. And so we are in for many changes, maybe not exactly the same kind of things, but a lot of change. Something that also happened that's lesser known during the periods of time of 1935 to 1942 that we are set for in the next coming 7 years was and now is a rapid increase in technological advancement, including going to things in outer space. space exploration, anything with technology, anything with forward movement and planning. Also massive developments in mathematics, physics, any of the sciences and maths, medicine. There were major and technology of any kind. So there was massive expansion during that time. So we are set for this massive expansion. And it could be that you are part of this process. So if you have really good ideas, this is a period of time where you might create something that could be life-changing for yourself and other people. So definitely follow those nudges, because intuitive insight for advancement will be very much expanded during this transit. Okay, so we've got between the 15th and 16th, Mars in Aquarius, also squaring Uranus in this new placement of Taurus. So there could be, well, we've experienced this, like I said, the energy of Uranus and Taurus before, but we've also experienced this aspect of Mars in squaring Uranus before. So between May 12th and May 19th is when we really feel this aspect. The first May 10th is where it really might start. The second pass is going to be between July 28th and August 6th of 2018. And then the third and final aspect of this will be September 17th through 22nd of 2018. Okay, so this can bring solar flares and their natural counterparts, which are volatility and aggression, also drastic and dramatic weather changes and events. Uranus and Taurus can also bring those things. So if you are a person, well, I mean, really nobody is safe from these, these dramatic weather and climate events. But if you are in a situation where you're more prone to these problems, then just take extra caution, be extra aware, and follow your intuition. If something is telling you not to be in a certain place at a certain time, to sell somewhere, to buy somewhere, etc. Because these energies with these dates I just outlined will be flared, and then also this will be a theme getting stronger for the next 7 years. My next favorite date of the month is May 18th. The first was the 11th. The 18th has Mercury in Taurus making a trine to Saturn in Capricorn. So this is another great day, time, or period of time to get things done. You'll have to dance around these other energies that I just talked about, because they will be pretty intense and they may not be the best for trying to do important things, but you just have to tune into your intuition and follow the flow. Okay, so even though on May 18th, we will be in the Mars shadow period, if you're feeling froggy, jump. That's the lesson of this time. Anything that you feel really drawn to do in May, get it done, because ambitions are likely to wane. The second to last notable event that I want to talk about is on May 25th, and this is Jupiter in Scorpio trining Neptune in Pisces. So this is a lineup of heavy hitter outer planets. When we have outer planets that connect, it always spans a longer, the span of influence is longer than these other planets that are quicker moving. So we first experienced this in December 2017, and this is the second aspect. So this aspect can bring optimism and generosity. It can also bring major spiritual breakthroughs. I really love this aspect for combining idealism and material success. So we could say the lesson of this transit would be that financial success and spirituality can coincide. Okay, this is a big lesson for many people here doing healing work, is thinking that they can't be materially cared for or have material ambitions while also being spiritual. And so this transit is helping us to blend those two. On May 29th, we have the full moon in Sagittarius. Mercury also enters Gemini, so this is amazing for travel, expansion, communication. This whole month is amazing for travel. And with the full moon in Sag and the planets in Gemini, people are going to want to move. They're going to be really restless. So this is one of my favorite months for travel. You do have to watch out, especially at the middle of the month, for some things. Also, if you're a traveler and you're going to be traveling during May, definitely go to my new travel website, Astrology Kissed Travel Bliss, and check out my monthly astrology travel reports, because I go into more details about aspects that can be specifically related to travel. And also other inspiration and fun things there. Okay, so this last aspect on the 29th can bring anything with Sagittarius to drama or fruition. Okay, so publishing, teaching, learning, completing an education, getting ready to start an education because you've completed a certain phase in your life, writing, speaking, anything with religious or spiritual pursuits, churches, and like I said, travel. So many people will have a very blessed, wonderful travel opportunity, even if it's for short distance, could turn out to be for long distance around this period of time. So these are the things I have most on my mind for May 2018. I have a longer list of aspects to look out for when you sign up for my newsletter, AnnieHelpsYou.com. And I give them to you a month early. Also, if you'd like a written version of horoscopes, not necessarily talking about things that I talk about in your personal videos, then go to cozybysweetstarlight.com. That is my lifestyle website that is also kissed by astrology with these horoscopes. So I love to give you massive amounts of resources to work with these transits. Okay, so you've got the newsletter, Annie Helps You. You've got Astrology Kiss Travel Bliss for your travel reports and other travel information. You've got Cozy by Sweet Starlight for your horoscopes. And then also check out my blog on Mars retrograde and my video on Mars retrograde and my blog on how best to use the time when planets are in retrograde. And that's at AnnieHelpsYou.com. Okay, so if you would love to learn astrology with me, or you would love to be a coach as your profession, or you would love to bring your business online, check out my vocational school, Shine Your Brilliance University, at AnnieHelpsYou.com. If you'd love to have audio tracks that help to mitigate and enhance and utilize the transits of the time, my brilliant husband, B.R. Newman, creates these audio tracks, subliminal audio tracks that you can access for free on his website at iamhelios.com, IAMHELIOS.com. He also does readings. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.